All right, everybody, we got a good episode for you today. We didn't have an episode the last few days, mainly because, well, my MacBook was in the repair shop. It was in at the Apple Store getting repaired because my battery said it was at 100%. But realistically, I think it was at like 2 or 3 because if I had it unplugged, it would last for about a minute and then it would just go dark and said it would run out of juice. So, that being said, we have some good stuff for you today. A couple big macro points we're going to look at today and walk through a little bit what I'm thinking as far as strategy. So, first of all, we're going to talk about celebrity cruises. The big thing we're going to talk about today, kind of the theme of the episode, is that people out there are shocked at the level of, we call it a demand shock, right? The level of demand that's out there, the amount of money that's being spent surprised everybody. And so, kind of the way it works with supply chain management, and I knew a little bit about this, but this whole like last month or two has really taught me a lot about it, is that a lot of the companies, when they do inventory, they have what's called just-in-time inventory or JIT inventory. And what it means is, let's say that you're a restaurant or you are a home builder, whatever it is, a warehouse, then what happens is you don't want to have a whole bunch of warehouses. Think of it as like this. It's like grocery shopping. You can either go to Costco and buy a month's worth of groceries and have to store it in a refrigerator, or have so much that you have to buy a backup refrigerator or stick it in the garage if it's not perishable or need to be frozen or refrigerated. And yeah, you'll have the food, but you're going to have to like dedicate a lot of space to it. Or you can literally, if you have the means and know how to do this, you could literally have whatever you need delivered. If you want breakfast, you can have your eggs and everything delivered to you right before your breakfast is made, right? So think about it as like a coffee maker, right? You're not going to make coffee the night before, but when you want coffee, you'll make the coffee right before you get it. And then lunch comes and you'll have everything you need delivered to you for lunch. So you don't even really need a refrigerator for the most part, right? Well, most businesses, a lot of the big businesses, especially the ones that have excellent profit margins, use what is called just-in-time inventory, meaning that they're not going to actually have anything delivered until they need it. And so the idea is you have these very sophisticated inventory management tools that will tell you exactly what you have, what you need, and will automatically place reorders. So grocery stores do this. So when it gets down to, I don't know, let's say it gets down to how many Guinness beers do you have? How many packs of Guinness beers? When it gets down below a certain number, it automatically places the order for more so that it replenishes just in time. So that you're not stacking the back of your store with stuff you can't sell, and you're not running out of stuff where people want to get it but you don't have it. And so what happens is, the idea with just in time is that it's based off of a very consistent buying pattern. So if you're buying if your customers are buying a certain amount, it's pretty predictable. It's within a 1 or 2 standard deviations. Sorry for the calculus. Then it'll always kind of be very predictable. You don't have to dedicate a lot of warehouse space, and you only buy what you need. Well, the problem is, after a year in COVID, the demand was so low because people weren't going out to eat. They couldn't go out to eat. They weren't buying things. All number of things that were going on. And so what happened is that their inventory management has kept it very, very low. Well, then all of a sudden we have this reopening, which is awesome, right? But let's say that you're a hotel and you are ordering bath towels or toilet paper or napkins or cleaning solution or whatever. It could be anything. Then all of a sudden things open up really quickly and oh my gosh, you're running out of stuff. And so you clamor to buy what you need. Now, on its own, that's not really a big deal. But when you have thousands of people just like you, your entire industry doing it at the same time, the people who are basically the manufacturers on the front end that make your supplies have a tough time actually going from like 0 to 60, 0 to 60 in a sense, and getting those out because they have staffing levels. They've only have staffing. They've reduced staffing to manage the demand and the supplies that they're selling. And all of a sudden they get this massive quick uptick in business. Well, then you got to bring people in really quickly, which takes time. I mean, it really takes a lot of time. And even if you have people that you basically furloughed, these people are sitting at home potentially getting paid by the government to stay home, and they're not even returned to work. Case in point, the airlines. American Airlines had a situation where they had to cancel a certain number of their flights because of staffing issues. And they can dress it how they want, but basically they furloughed, but my brother's a pilot, so for American of all things. So they basically furloughed all these people October 1st once the COVID bill, the terms of the COVID bill expired on September 30th, and these people were furloughed. Well, then you get this massive uptick in business, in airline business, but these people are furloughed. I mean, they got to go back to work. A lot of times they have to basically either be retrained or recertified, and they have to meet certain regulatory requirements. So you can't just say, oh, it's Monday, I need to get these people in the air Wednesday. No, it takes some time, so you need to have some advanced planning. And so what happened is the level of demand, the level of how many people are spending money and going on vacation, this pent-up demand that I've been talking about since last March, right, has just surprised everybody. It's bigger and greater than what anybody ever thought. So we're going to talk specifically, and there's my soliloquy, but I wanted to lay that down and explain what's really going on. So the Celebrity Cruises CEO said the same thing. Said people are itching to blow tons of money on casinos, massages, and other thrills. They just want to enjoy themselves. Now, if I could come up with a tagline for this podcast, I would say that's my tagline. And he said it better, or maybe the person at Business Insider said it better than I did. If I could have just wrote, people are itching to blow tons of money on casinos, massages, and other thrills. They just want to enjoy themselves. Well, that's pretty much what I would say. And so the cruise lines are booked out. I've talked about this months and months ago. They're booked out through next year. The way they're going to get more business between now and then is they have to actually employ and build and whatever they do to get more ships. They have to get more ships. So with that being said, you have to understand that this is bigger than we thought. But the thing is, it's not mainstream news yet. It's not all over. We have the, quote, great reopening that's happening, and we have all the inflation. People are talking about all the stuff on the sidelines, right? Oh, it's the great reopening, or this state opened, or this state opened, or California finally opened, whatever it is. And they're talking about inflation because lumber's, the cost of lumber is through the roof. Why? Well, because they weren't cutting down as many trees, and then all of a sudden people were reopening and they wanted to buy houses, and the inventory of lumber was low, so the price of lumber goes up. Well, it's a supply chain issue. Not all inflation is transitory, but this one was, because once they actually start, raising the level of their cutting down timber, the price of timber, the price of lumber is going to go down dramatically, right? It could be anything, gasoline, it could be hotels, like airline fares are through the roof. I'm trying to go see my dad over the summer, but the airline fares are really high. Why? Well, it's because the flights are booked. I mean, there's more people that wanting to fly than there are planes and even airport employees to handle it, right? And so the big thing they're talking about is inflation. Oh my gosh. And they're trying to blame it on Biden. And to some degree, in some respects, is he responsible for it? Sure. Okay, but that's not really what we're going to hit on today. Really, a lot of the inflation has to do with the fact that you have a suppressed economy, an artificially induced suppression of the economy by the government. I've been saying that since last March. And then the businesses, because they're employed to make a profit, make all kinds of adjustments to make sure that they can remain viable, stay in business, and hopefully stay in and hopefully make a profit. And so all of a sudden, when you have this massive shock to the system, where the entire fundamentals, the entire nature of the economy changes like this, right? Well, then all of a sudden they're kind of surprised by it, and they don't know what to do, and people are asking for their products so much that they get to raise their prices, right? And so that's what's happening. So whether it's on an end user, let's say the person buying gasoline for their car, or it's the person who is producing lumber, cutting down trees, prepping the lumber to put them in 2x4s or whatever shape they're in, and then all the way through to the people who wholesale it, retail, middlemen, distributors, going to Home Depot, Home Depot buying it, and then the people buying it off Home Depot, let's say it's the housing developers, and then actually putting it in the hands of the people that are nailing the wood together and building the house, right? So it takes a while for this to flush out of the system. But the whole point of this, the reason why you're seeing this inflation is because the thing that nobody's talking about is the fact that the reopening boom is bigger than anybody anticipated. Now, I'd like to say that it's bigger than I anticipated, but I'm not going to say that because I haven't been saying that at all. I've been saying since last March, when this reopens, it's going to go boom. But the thing is, it hasn't hit the system yet. So imagine right now, if you knew ahead of time that all these people taking cruises are itching to blow tons of money on casinos, massages, and other thrills. And these are the same people that maybe they're not on a cruise. Maybe they're going to Branson, Missouri. Maybe they're going to Nashville. Maybe they're going to Disney World. And they're flying there, getting rental cars. The cost of rental cars is through the roof, right? Let's say the same people decide they're going to go to Vegas and hit the Bellagio, which, by the way, that whole town's been sold out for a while. And they're going to go see shows and go play blackjack. And imagine if you knew all of this, that there were people just itching to do that, and yet it wasn't in the news and really hasn't been fully reflected in the stock price. Well, what would you do? Well, it's kind of a trick question because that's where things are at right now. Some of it's been priced in. The fact that it's a reopening has been priced into the prices of these stocks, but the depth and intensity of the demand shock that's going on right now has not. So we're going to talk today about exactly where I see things going. We're going to talk about Biden's, I got to write that down. We're going to talk about Biden's EV stuff and the infrastructure. We'll hit on that as well. So, all right. So we got that done. Celebrity cruises. All right. So with that being said, we're going to talk about crypto. So I don't have an article for you, but crypto, for example, if we look at crypto has been, and we'll take a look at a couple of the cryptos that we look at. So we'll take a look at Dogecoin, we'll take a look at Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. All right, I used to own Bitcoin, bought it really low, bought it at 3, sold it at like 13, made some good money. This was well before COVID. And right now I have Bitcoin Cash and Dogecoin, or Doggycoin if we're going to be exactly right. So Bitcoin got down just below 30,000. So we'll go out a week, and I think we'll probably see it there. Got down to 29.2. I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, yeah, if it goes to 25, I'll buy into it again. And he's like, well, just buy it at 30. No big deal. And I said, well, fair enough, but I don't have to buy Bitcoin. But let's see if we can. I'd rather have somebody else take that loss and me buy it at 25. So, but since then, it's gone up from 29 to 35,000. It's retreated down to 32. And again, it's going to go up in my opinion. Bitcoin Cash typically mirrors Bitcoin. All right, same little chart type. Got down to basically 400, got up to roughly 500 and retreated down to 450. And Dogecoin, which is the Elon Musk, I bought some recently, mainly because he hasn't talked about it. And this is what really annoyed the crap out of me, right? So I bought it at 25 cents a share as a limit order, and then it went all the way down to frickin' 17 cents a share, or 17 cents a coin rather. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I suck at buying Dogecoin. Every time I buy it, it goes down, like dramatically goes down. It never had a day like that, but I'm like, I'm riding this sucker long. So it retreated back up and then retreated back down. So the same thing, but the crypto's not going anywhere. I was talking to a friend of mine, and again, this is the number one thing about, especially Bitcoin. I don't know about the other cryptos, but Bitcoin is the only thing existing on Earth where there is a permanently limited supply. So there's 21 billion Bitcoins that can exist, period. I mean, that's the max written into the program. But you can dig up more gold. I mean, you can do that. You can dig up more silver. You can dig up more platinum. You can open up a mine. You can do a lot of things with that. But Bitcoin is the only thing there that there's a limited supply. And yet the level of anonymity, the fact that you have, I think it's El Salvador, it's going to be legal tender there. Also, you look at certain countries cracking down on it, China and India, for example. That's like the biggest thing ever, because it's like back in the 80s, they would have the hip-hop albums. When they started to curse on them, they put these little stickers that said parental discretion advised. And I would go into a store, I'd look in the rap section, and it was funny. If it didn't have that sticker, I didn't consider buying it. And then I basically have a number of different CDs that I was going to buy. And if it had that sticker, I'd choose between those, and that's how I chose it. But when you see companies cracking down, it means they see something that they don't like, which is going to work in the interest of the individual and against the interest of the nation. So that being said, that's the biggest endorsement. So crypto's not going anywhere. It's a great time to buy low. If you don't have any, I would definitely get some. I just bought some Dogecoin, and I'm riding the sucker long. People are still saying it go up to $1. I bought it for 25 cents. Sell it for $1. Whatever it is happened, but I'm going to make a decent profit on it. So that's one thing as well. All right. So with that being said, we're going to talk about Biden's EVs. So one of the things they're focusing on right now is an infrastructure bill. The problem is Biden is an idiot, and I just mean from a common sense standpoint. It could be true in other areas, but he's sitting here negotiating with Senate Republicans, swing votes, moderates, the Republicans. Or you have a bipartisan caucus that was developed to try to get this bill through, and he told them, yeah, it's going to be one bill. We're going to work one bill for infrastructure. That we're not going to go through reconciliation. We'll try to get bipartisan support, and life is good. And then he came out later that day, gave a speech, and basically said that unless both bills are on his desk at the same time, he's not signing either of them. So he basically stabbed them both in the back. But either way, one of the things that's going to be coming out is an infrastructure bill before too long. It could be later in the fall. It could be this month. Who knows? But with that, you're going to see a lot of highways built. They have one part where they said they're going to tear down highways, which is really stupid. But a big part is going to be, and if you've been around for the Obama administration, you remember this, there's going to be subsidies for, instead of solar panels, there's going to be subsidies for EV charging stations and EV. So that's one of the reasons you've seen Tesla stock go up lately, is because they're going to be doing that. So with that being said, we look at our portfolio for what I call Biden stocks here. We have Blink Charging, Clean Energy, and Fuel Cell. And Blink Energy is doing pretty well. Fuel Cell is down, but it will come up. Once that infrastructure plan goes in, this is going to come roaring back. And the same thing with Clean Energy, it's going to go way up. So I would definitely recommend, if you don't have a piece of Fuel Cell, definitely consider it. I mean, I bought 14 grand in it, so I'm a full-fledged believer in that and where that's going. Now, if Trump were in office, I wouldn't have Fuel Cell. Would never have bought it, because they're not going to sit here and subsidize the industry. And if you remember, the same reason that I bought into a lot of stocks in the beginning is because I'd turn on the TV and I'd find out the CEOs of these companies were in Washington begging Trump for a bailout, basically a subsidy, right? So right now, if there's all the kinds of people already lining up for subsidies, EV companies are going to get the subsidy. Tesla's going to get the subsidy. Of course you're going to buy it. It'd be nuts not to. All right, and I had here gaming, and I can't remember what it was about. So we're going to leave that one alone. Oh, that's what it was about. So the other thing we're going to look at here was casinos. So you could say betting, because I have DraftKings on here, and that's not really a casino. This is the number one. This is going to be the number one in my mind from the end of June to the end of December this year. The number one performing sector that we have. You're going to have college football coming out. You're going to have pro football coming out. You have online gambling that's been online betting or gaming or whatever you want to call it, that's been legalized in more states. It's going to continue. And once you see football season start in August and September, this sucker is going to take off more so than we have before. You're going to see Caesars go off the roof. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 600 or 700% by then. Every, which is, I mean, that's going to take off mainly because it's a Vegas stock. They handle all the ATMs, but you're going to see all of these take a huge, huge jump. So if you don't have as much in here as you want to have, I would definitely consider it. I might look at actually getting more in pen gaming, but I have 16 grand in it right now. So this is the one that I think is going to really take off, and my portfolio is going to massively jump once football season starts. So not in June, not in July, but definitely in August and September for sure. All right, so with that being said, portfolio, everything is doing really good. A couple slightly in the red, Clean Energy, but we talked about that. Corsair Gaming is right around break even, but we're going to take they're going to have a big jump game. I'm calling my shot. Mark the calendar. Once you have the big jump day for them, a 15-20% jump day for them, maybe more. We're going to claim that and close out our position on that. We'll talk about the 40s here in the reds. Fubo, it's only down 9%. This sucker was down 50% not too long ago. So this one is definitely moving in the right direction. You can almost put this in a gaming stock because they just introduced online gambling on their platform. But with that, and sports betting on their platform. But that's really not going to take, it's not really going to be really as big of a thing in earnest until August or September. So look out for this one. This one I think we're just going to ride because of our position. All right, Next ID. Again, they do cybersecurity for the Internet of Things. Again, this one I think is going to be a big, big stock. We're going to hold this one and have diamond hands. Penn National Gaming, we talked about that. Royal Caribbean, I mean, we just talked about Carnival. You know, if they're basically sitting here, people are throwing money like it's a strip club in Miami. You know these things are going to go off the hook. So we're holding diamond hands on that one. Skills, the same thing. And Yuko, which is an oil stock. This one we bought so low. And as the price of oil continues to go up, again, you have Biden as president. He's trying to kill the oil industry. All you're going to do is make the oil companies rich, and that's why we have that there. So, all right. So other than that, we have the 40s. We have Fuel Cell, which we talked about. It's a Biden stock. And then Future FinTech basically does like payment processing for crypto, and it's out of China. So with that being said, I just think that one just has tons and tons of opportunity. And I don't even think I have that listed as a crypto. Like if we look in here, it's in my other, where is it? Future FinTech. Do I have it? No, I guess I do have it in crypto, but we're going to see that going forward. So overall, we're sitting here at a gain of 200,000 or a gain. Well, if we closed out our positions, we'd be sitting here at 200,000. But one of the things I'm looking at here is this. I'm looking at being somewhere around 300,000 by the end of it, and we're probably going to eclipse that. So we're about 2/3 of the way there, which seems crazy. And then one of the other things that we look at is by the end of August, since I'm starting law school in August, woohoo! I'm going to have to basically write a check for 58 grand to the law school for the year's tuition. So most likely, it'll probably be mid-early August. My guess, if I had to do it now, and I guess this answers the question of if you were going to close out any position, what would you close out? And it has to be enough for 58 grand. I would say every maybe, because that one's done really, really well. And plus it's limited just to Vegas, so that would be half of the tuition payment. And then I would say Hall of Fame, probably by then. Yeah, I think we're going to get a big bump because you're going to have two classes of NFL Hall of Fame inductees, both going, and Canton's going to be off the hook this year with, I mean, basically double the amount of people that are going to come. So I'd probably do that one. PVAC is an oil stock. I mean, we were up 530 on that one, so that would probably put us at about 58,000. I don't want to do Yuko because I think that's going up there. And I might pick one other one, but those are the ones if I had to close out, I would close out now. So if you have any other questions, we covered a lot, but the big thing to come off with is, one, I should have named my podcast. People are itching to blow tons of money on casinos, massages, and other thrills. They just want to enjoy themselves. But I guess that's just the episode today. So with that being said, if you have any questions, let me know. There's a link in here to our spreadsheet, so you can download that as well. Thank God I had that on there because I actually had to download it myself and use it on a different Mac while mine was in the shop. So, it works for me, it works for you. Any comments, questions, stock ideas, what I would sell, what you should buy. If you hate some of the things I said, blow me up, be nice, be productive, be constructive, but let me know either way. Other than that, we'll talk to you soon. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.